Aros OS?
Yeah.
Aros OS, which is a re-implementation, open source of the Amiga OS. And before I make a fool of myself, I will step down now.
Okay, thank you. I'm honest, this so far is the biggest audience that I had, because in 2009 I tried to speak on a scale to introduce Aros there, and there were only like 3 people. And then 2000, I'm not sure 2010 or 11, I talked when the LUG was still meeting on the Caltech, and there were like 5-6 people. So this is the biggest audience that I have so far. Okay. So more than I want to introduce Aros, and one of the distro based on Aros that is called Icaros desktop is the most comprehensive distribution of Aros that is actually around. And I can start to do a little bit of talk about a little bit of the history of where Aros is coming from when it got the right button.
Are you running Aros here?
Yeah, this is Icaros, is running from a USB stick here. This is an 8 gig, but usually 2 gig are enough if you don't do a complete install. Icaros is available as DVD and as a light version on CDs. The light version got less program, the DVD version got very compressed. I must say it got almost most of the programs that are available for Aros. And okay, so since usually the history is a bit long because, well, what is Aros? Aros is a re-implementation of what was Amiga OS based on the 3.1 API. A clean room implementation, I mean there is no Amiga OS code here. It has been written according to what were the specs on the user manual and documentation. And it's source code compatible. It's not binary compatible. I mean, you cannot run directly Amiga OS program on Aros. There is one exception, and this is the version that runs on 68K that is being compiled to be binary compatible, and also provide a kickstart ROM for to substitute the original Amiga OS one. As a system is being thought to be mostly platform agnostic, I mean it can be ported in many architectures. Right now there are porting for x86, 64-bit, ARM, ARM is hosted, and then we have also 68K, and there are a couple of ports for PowerPC but are not actually supported. Then there are distribution both in native version. There are at least 2 active distribution native for x86. One is Icaros, the most comprehensive. Then we have, I'm talking about the active distribution. And then we have Aspiros. Then we have a distribution for 68K, but is more thought for emulated environment and probably FPGA systems. Like maybe Mini-MIG is not powerful enough, but I think FPGA might be powerful enough to run it. We have another project that I supported this year when I was in Scale, and this is called Arix. Arix instead is using an Aros in a hosted version, but in a stripped version of Linux. So therefore only the kernel, the drivers, and some code to translate the system calls. It's very similar to another project that was in Amiga OS that was called Amitlon as implementation. Therefore you will have like one task to run Amiga OS, and the driver are wrapped through the Linux kernel, and that is a third-party source code. It's partially open as far as I know, and it's actually in beta. I belong to the beta testers, and I usually when we have some version, I contribute to test it on this machine. This machine is pretty well supported by Aros. I will come back on that. Then about the technology that Aros use, besides the Amiga OS API, some technology are coming funded through. Okay, I mean Aros is open source as a base, and is the license is APL. That is a derivative of the Mozilla public license. Therefore, is somebody define a business friendly because it's similar to MIT and allow people to do commercial. Don't force people to contribute back unless they ethically decided to. And the most is mostly brought on by volunteers. Right now, Aros has like probably 5-6 active coders and at least 3 core developers. And I know that Aros and so when for implement new technology, we use a bounty system. Means people usually contribute to what is called a bounty. It's like something similar to the concept of Kickstarter. So it's crowdfunded. People contribute a certain amount of money, and once somebody accepts, he will work on that and in the project until reach a good amount of completion, and then we'll get the money for the bounty. Right now, some core technology that are being funded like so far are OpenGL through Mesa and Gallium that is ported here on Aros. Then several drivers, the IntelliGMA that is running here, HD audio for audio, and the USB stack that is called Poseidon that is porting from Amiga OS. The original developer put like a bounty like €4,000 and has been crowdfunded from the several remaining operating system of the Amiga Zone. And then, okay, we have also Odyssey web browser that is a WebKit-based browser, usually in MorphOS, and has been crowdfunded too. Gallium has been crowdfunded, and Opus 5, Directory Opus 5, Magellan. It was a file manager under Amiga OS. Version 4 was open. Version 5, they put another bounty for the source code that's being funded by Amiga OS 4 and Aros and Amiga OS Classic. We can call it the version 3.1, the version originally distributed by Commodore. Then, those are the technologies that are being funded by Bounty. Aros is, beside the distribution, is also distributed by native builds. Native builds are unstable, mostly like a build of the actual state of the code. And they are built usually every night in the several versions, and they are available from the main Aros website. And okay, as I said, there are two versions active on x86 of these two distributions. One is Icaros, another one is Aspire OS that is mostly target to netbook, Acer Aspire, specifically because it has the supported Wi-Fi driver, supported video driver, SD audio, so it's the most supported machine in that case. Then we have we have one hosted distribution that is called Aros, that is a Linux hosted Aros, and is mostly distributed as standalone and also sold with machines that are called RS1 by a guy called Pascal Papar in Germany, that he provided as main OS or a choice with Linux. And for 68K, we have Aros Vision, that is a distribution mostly target for emulation, because right now the state of 68K is that there are no native driver for the Amiga chipset, so it's using a technology that is called CyberGraphic, that is a retargetable technology that go through the graphic card rather than through the chipset. So therefore, using the native chipset right now, Aros is kind of slow, unless you use some kind of light version of the workbench that in Aros is called Wanderer. Then, okay, a little bit about me. Right now I'm here in the United States since 9 years, but I'm from Italy. I'm a web developer here on one of the radio stations in Los Angeles. And at work I mostly work with PHP and JavaScript, jQuery, all that kind of stuff. I have a little bit of based on Angular, but it's not concerned now. I have a background as a graphic artist and musician for Amiga games and animations. I had the occasion to win at least a couple of contests in Europe with my animations. And I'm an advocate of Aros. I will not say evangelist because I'm not that involved. I realize it's going through a lot. But I've been able to have 2 years standing scale to talking scale in, as I said, 2009. And also at the a couple of times I've been involved in presenting Aros in retro computing. There is a meeting with the Southern California Computer Club in Northridge. They meet there and they usually talk about retro Amiga hardware and Aros and stuff like, and Amiga OS and other technology related. Actually, beside Aros, my main, I have a blog that is called Binary Doodles, and is mostly Aros based, but lately I also had occasion to talk about when I develop a video game in Amiga OS with other people, and I was the graphic artist and musician, so I made a kind of memory of the development of the game, and also talking about composing, especially on protracker and in Milky Tracker that I'm actually using. And I'm also had occasion to translate some ebook. There is one that is in translation about the OS4 community, and I hope it will come out soon. I did the translation in English from Italian that has been done from a user and from an Italian forum in Italy, and I also had occasion to publish some of the translation of the diaries of the video game in an Italian website. And last not least, the last project that I'm doing, I'm porting in mod file, redoing the music of Heroes of Might and Magic 2 in a port for Amiga OS. This means take the CD track list and then redo it on protracker. I have at least one track ready and the other 3 for out of like I think 20 to be redone. And this was about me. Okay. Then about Icaros that we are talking today. Icaros, as I say, is the most comprehensive distribution of Aros, the first one that can be really called distribution. It's been created in 2008. It was called VMW Aros because at first was a distribution for VMware virtual machine. It was running not in native, and lately it's been also released for native. Right now it's the version 2.0 that is come out like 2 weeks ago, so it's pretty new. The creator is called Paolo Berser. In Italy, has a background as a journalist in a video game magazine that is called The Game Machine. It was the Italian version of an English magazine, but lately, when the English version folded up, it got its own life, and so it's the most important magazine in Italy. Right now, he's working as a system administrator in Italy. And during the free time, he takes care. He's the maintainer of Icaros. It's mostly desktop oriented, and compared to the original Aros Nightly, is strongly customized. There are a lot of custom technologies that Berser add. There is a system of live update for the distribution, meaning that you can using a program that is there, you can update part of the distribution. There is a team selection that has been custom made. There is a Amistar that is the custom menu that you can use see below is a porting from an utility of Amiga OS, and then usually distinguish Icaros is being there since the version 1. Then we have AMI Bridge, that is like a system for which you can run, you can launch Amiga OS application in the environment called Genus. Genus is a custom version of UAE for Aros, and the most important thing that does compared to a normal UAE, first of all, is based in EUAE, so the just-in-time engine might not work properly as the one of WinUAE, but the most important technology that it does is called the coherency mode. The coherency mode allows you to show the Amiga OS application, the native Amiga OS application, the one that don't use directly the chipset but use as codes, like Windows of Aros. So it will look like a transparent emulation. And Aros also provide developer tools. There is a live version that is based on QEMU, with the DVD of Aros in the most complete version, the 4.7 gig. There is also a QEMU, customized QEMU version of QEMU to run, so that you can run Aros in the virtual machine rather than in the natively. It's good for testing. And there is a light version, as I said, that is not the 4.7 gig, but is the version that's shown in CD, and has less application compared to the final one. Now, going to Icaros version 2, that is the one that I'm showing here. This one is based on the most updated okay, something that I have to do a premise that I forgot. Right now for Aros there are two versions. There is a version called ABI V1, that is the original Aros, that is the one, I might say the stable version, and this is the one which the distribution are based. And then there is the experimental one that is called the ABI V1. There are some important differences for which programs that are made on the V1 will not run on the V0, including one that is DOS packets, that is a way to handle, the part of the program that is different from the V0 and that's been backported from the Amiga OS and cannot run on the V0, but most of the technology that right now Icaros is using are being backported from the cutting-edge V1 and brought back to the V0 column trunk by a guy called Schmiekowicz. That is the same one that ported Mesa and Gallium on Aros. That, by the way, means that Aros right now has also OpenGL 3D support on especially NVIDIA machines, and I'm not too sure about the ATI graphic card, but usually in NVIDIA, the GeForce 7800 is supported and others, but right now, so those are native 3D running. Then we have a new memory management system that is based on the that is based on the 64-bit version that is more performing on the original one. We have an updated Zune. Zune is the graphical toolkit that Aros uses, and this free implementation of what's in Amiga was the Magic User Interface.
So is there protected memory in the operating system? Because I remember the original Amiga didn't have any.
Well, that's Aros being based on 3.1 has the same problem, no protected memory.
Okay. So one application can take down the whole system.
Right now I know they are a bit updated, as I said, from the memory management, but right now no, there is no protected memory. I think the only way, as far as I understood, to have protected memory will be that to sandbox the old environment and write a new environment based on your kernel. But yeah, If the application are well written, there should be not too much problem. Okay, this I will come back on this later. And so, I was say they do update on AmiBridge, they do update on DevTools. They have this tool that is called Zoom View that is being made from forgot the name of the guy. Anyways, the same guy that did a port of the original AmiFig, that was a port of XFeed, and they heavily customized it. So now we have this vector application that is called ZoomFig, based on the AmiFig, but much more powerful, so that it can handle SVG, can handle anti-alias and gradients and stuff that the original AmiFig was not able to handle. We have Testor Indigo, that is from the same guy who made the Icaros distribution, Pascal Papara. Should be like an app store for Amiga OS and Aros. There is a test version, but I haven't occasion to test it yet. We have a new settings panel for Icaros, where it's possible to customize stuff that before were customizing through simple wizards. And the most important thing that right now Icaros version 2 app is that the desktop is based on can be choose to have it on the Magellan rather than the original Wanderer. And this is an improvement on the graphic interface, because the original Wanderer is still pretty linked to the original Workbench 3.1, so therefore no automatic update of the window, no refresh. For some reason was not possible to handle drag and drop from application, like no iconification. So this is an improvement on the user interface for Aros, for Icaros. Among the things that this install is pretty new. I installed it last night. I had problem since they changed a bit the memory manager and some of the driver. I was having problem installing on my other laptop because I guess the SATA on my Dell was not too compatible. So in this machine, using an external CD, I was able to install it to stay. But I checked all the tutorial, most of the tutorials. So I'm trying to repeat what I seen about the new version. The first thing, as I say, is we are using Magellan as a file manager rather than Wanderer, and this gives us more advantage. Among these, we can have a toolbar on the window, where more similar to modern file manager, at least modern at the level of Windows 95, but for the original Amiga interface is an improvement. And therefore mostly real time of update of the Windows. Besser had a lot of utilities here. Is it possible to, okay, let me do one moment this. Is it possible to handle most of the operation, like in example handling archives, handling copy and paste of files? What do you know? Okay. We have this new toolbar on the side that will give us most new operation that we can use, like an example toggling on. We have also a version with text. Let me see. What is it? Let me pause one moment. We can switch this action bar like text or graphic, and we have most of the action that we can do. We have also new operation, like in example the creation of thumbnail. Is it possible to like right click on this file and it will create a thumbnail for it? Or the file, left click, it will create a thumbnail for all of it. This will help to Okay, yeah, you see it created tunnel from the pictures. Most of these operations, I know, they are pretty normal right now in 2014, but we were in short Aros and Amiga OS is still kind of back in time, so we are improving. But so we have we have also the possibility to use the program that I'm using there, like in a zoom view that I'm using right now. This has been added. Also to do simple operation on the pictures, like an example, beside viewing, and then this trigger on the side. We can also do like use it to create like an example simple image processing thing, like an example cropping this picture and crop. I save it. I will create the picture. My picture, I can also set it as desktop background. Yeah, I create a copy of the file down here. Another good thing about Magellan is they can handle directly zoom out that is zip decompressor, but I know that you cannot unless probably when I'm in use as name. And that is on this thing. Yeah, as you can see, it opened it natively, and I can, this will react like contextually to the, not good. You should react in context to the to the file format. Yeah, this was in I was inside the zip up key. Probably I should have took it out. Okay, I feel that I have to have the feeling that I have to reboot. Yeah, there's a little problem about that, you know, protection of memory. Good thing is that the Icaros reboot pretty fast.
Now the kernel is not Linux. It can be Linux, but it's native.
The kernel is exec, or at least a rewrite of the Amiga exec.
You noted there was an ARM distribution. What type of platforms is that targeted at?
Okay, the ARM distribution right now that is active is a version of Aros for Raspberry Pi, I know. It's being made by Pascal Poporo, that is the German guy, the same one that do Aros. And there was a native version in progress for Raspberry Pi 2. And the guy who was taking care of it is Neil Kafferke. No, not Neil Kafferke, it's, one moment. Calamati, what is the right name? Okay, I remember the Nick is Calamati, but I forgot the original. Oh, Nick Andrews, that is an English programmer, and this is the same one that is working the custom version of Wonder, the workbench. There should be a modular one. I don't know if he's porting, is still taking care of that. I think for now I put it on hold because he didn't have enough money from the bounty and he was having employment problem. He was unemployed at the time that he was working on the port of Raspberry Pi. I remember he was having problem with the USB support because as far as I understood he was a bit more tricky than the usual. And yeah, at the time I remember when it came out the first boot, I tweet on my thing the screenshot of Wonder that was booting from the Raspberry Pi. And yeah, take us 1 second, let me go back to the Yeah, okay, talking about Magellan, that's what I say. Yeah, an important thing about Magellan is that, as I said, the porting was crowdfunded, buying the original source code from the company. I think it was like $5,000. It was crowdfunded from OS 4 users and Aros users and classic users. And okay, another good thing that Magellan has also an integrated FTP interface. When you decide to start. Right now, this netbook is not connected because it's using as a wireless. It's using a Realtek 8187SC. That is not a supported chipset on PCI. But if I order, I remember a USB stick, wireless USB, to use it for Aros. Problem is I didn't get it on time. It's still traveling from China. And it's a RTL 8187B, the chipset. That is one chipset supported. Then we have Aros 5000 is supported. Old one called Prism 2 is supported for Wi-Fi. And well, several network. The original wire network is 81. I'm using a driver for the 8182.9, 69 F3, and I didn't see it. Let me see. 8139. I'm using this. Should be is one of the drivers that is supported by the chipset, and usually work with DHCP through wire, but I have to reboot the machine after I set it up. And among the features that also Icaros has beside the network support, there is a possibility to do file share to FTP. There is the possibility through the Icaros panel to interface, to configure with a VNC server so it can be used through VNC. It's been integrated. And one other thing that we have here, I should start getting this, I can launch Amiga. Okay.
Nice.
So this is the Genius UI is being launched right now. So this is the Aros in 68K in emulated Amiga, and okay, where is the other one? I know that I have to basically some more here.
So is the emulator fast enough to run classic Amiga games?
Should be. But right now I forgot how to close it. Okay. Here I am. Oh, by the way, you see in the back, this is the screen, this thing we have it from the Amiga OS, the draggable screen with several, it's still a good condition. I can configure from here to do the coercive mode. Should be this thing is like fast enough. Okay, this machine is a bit old, so but I just run an Amiga game.
Is there a very active community that keeps the old games, makes them available? I know there was an Amiga
Okay,
forever.
for the Amiga, right now there is. There are some communities that are working on homebrew games or imports from ST. An example, there are a couple of people. They usually go in the English Amiga board. There are being ports from ST games that was missing on Amiga, like an example, working on Enduro Racer. I know they port Super Spring, and I know they did one of the porting that they did from PC, actually from the Mac version. The guy do a kind of reverse engineering of the engine and rebuild it on Amiga, the one Eros Mathematic too that I'm contributing for the music. And what do you have? Something is not on. I'm afraid my machine is not powerful enough to run the game. I would have tried to remind my game, but I didn't at the time. I tried first time to install this. It was giving me problem because you know, the file system at least supported by Aros are the Amiga kind. So file system, that was the original Amiga workbench system, the one from the workbench 2 and on. Then yes, and the SFS, that is another file system. And file system has a problem that is like a 32-bit, and so don't support more than 2 gigs. And so this is an 8 gig stick. I had to do several test partition it, and first wipe it out because it's in DOS. Then I had to partition it. Okay, I'm trying to follow the schedule, but I can talk about some of the software that is included with Icaros, and one of the software that one of the most important we support recently is OWB. That is the web browser. Right now we're not connected, but it's a WebKit browser. Therefore, it should keep most of the stuff from WebKit. But this version, the only problem that it has is don't have the HTML5 video included, at least not yet, probably in the future. Else is pretty compatible. I know that right now one problem that Aros has is that the implementation that is used from SSL is the buggy one, the one that does outbleed. So they need somebody to port the new version, but it should work on most of the websites. And I remember when I was able to also access Facebook, mostly on the mobile version, not on the desktop one, because it's too big for this. This machine has only 1 gig of RAM, and OWB take like 20 megabytes for each page. And one of the problems that at least Aros in 32-bit, right now this version I think has a limit of 2 gig of RAM that can be seen. Then the 64-bit that does not too much problem, and is not in Icaros, can reach up to more than 4 gigs, so there should be no more problem in the future. But right now we are limited to 32-bit. About development tools, Aros usually, okay, let me put it down here now. So I think the usual stuff they can have OWB is, I know there's also the code inspector, but I'm not sure that they enable it. I don't see it. Support, spoof, yeah, this is spoofing for a thing, private browsing. Oh, yes, private browsing, I forgot that. And cookie, messages as a download manager, so it's a pretty decent web browser. And I know there was, at least in the past, there was a script that people used to fetch YouTube videos and then running on MPlayer down there. MPlayer is a port from the MorphOS ported from Linux. And it usually works pretty good. It supports a good amount of files, I think including MP4, but I'm not too sure about the last version. And there are several development tools. One, as usual, people usually to develop in Aros, they use GCC, or they use the hosted version so that they can use the GNU debugger function, because right now there is not a decent debugger for Aros, at least not yet, nobody ported. Then I know at least 2 or 3 times there have been some kind of code environment that have been trying to port. I don't know the status. Recently there is one guy that is porting Free Pascal on Aros, and is trying, and is able to do a zone application and also using the native Free Pascal toolkit. It's a bit slow, but he's been able to do, in example, a torrent app that I don't have here for using Free Pascal. So Free Pascal is well supported right now. It's the cutting edge if you want to do something, at least with Aros. And okay, there is one of the languages that's been provided at least from the 2006-2007 is AMI Lua, that is Lua, plus some binding for the tool, for the graphical toolkit used by Amiga OS, one for Zoom that is called Zulu. Then we have one for the original GAT tools that is called AMILUA. But as a problem, it cannot handle more advanced objects, like in example, some kind of Zoom plugins. They cannot be used because they require a callback in C, and AMILUA is not supporting it. I try to find some coder to help the actual coder to extend this, because I personally test AMILUA. I was trying to do like when Aros was not having a network interface, I was trying to build one, a fast one, at least to do the configuration front end, and I know that has been extended right now. I think it's supporting SQLite, supporting pictures, I think some network thing, but still has to be advanced. Then there is another Ruby, there is another language that does binding, is Ruby, port of Ruby, and the binding is called Zubi. I don't know if it has been ever released officially, but I remember there were some interesting things on the website. And okay, and now let's go to the tough part. Why people should use Aros or should mingle with it? Okay, one of the reasons that at least me as an Amiga user, I feel home when I mingle with Aros. I mean, I grew up with the Workbench interface. I think I'm not the only one who else is grown up with Amiga yet. Okay, 3 people. And at least in some things, despite Linux in this moment is much, okay, I cannot pardon Linux with Amiga because Linux has memory protection, multiprocessor, and all kind of stuff, actively support, and thousands of people, everything, even toasters. I see the picture here. But instead, Aros right now is still no memory protection. I know there are one of the developers that also did the port on 68K, was doing some testing to do some kind of symmetric micro multiprocessing in a non-standard way. I don't know what is the state of that, because at least as far as I understood, the actual architecture of the Amiga OS, some of the things that have been included originally by Commodore, I think the permit and forbid application not too good in C, so I'm going by memory. Prevent a good implementation of symmetric multiprocessing, but I know this guy was trying to do some kind of esoteric way to go around that. And okay. So one of the reasons is that. Another reason is that if you want to, like in example, as coder, I think people want to try to code in a different way from the different usual way that has to use Linux, to code in Windows, Java, and things. The way that Amiga OS was doing the coding was a bit more on the, I must say, a bit more simple, in some kind more complex. The example, Magic User Interface is not using, internally is of Zoom in this case. Internally is object oriented, but it's interesting the way you have to create it in in hierarchic groups, starting from a vertical group, then stuck in horizontal group for each part, button, list, and it's a different way to build the thing. Probably less abstracted from the hardware, but there are ways to do that. And Aros is still pretty lightweight, because I think here the light version of Icaros, so on the 8 gig stick is using just not even 2, and most of it is external software. So as a Amiga OS was lightweight on the time. Aros leads into that more stuff, but is still pretty lightweight, at least for a normal standard. and can be also run without the workbench, so it can be just use the OS and some programs, and in case people need stuff that is not important for test, for no memory protection, it's not important that part, but it's important that it's small and can run, that might help to do some projects. I know some people that like, one guy working debugging the USB stack in order to pilot a PC Duino. I remember there were ham radio programs for Amiga, and I think some people can port it to Aros and like adapt it to use USB interface that can be still useful. Then it's fast to boot. Can be used as a stick. You can use it as your own system if you don't want to boot Linux, because as you see, like 10 seconds is already up. And for the Amiga people is a way to use another way to use an Amiga environment beside UAE. Then they can use a modern Amiga environment with 3D and stuff, and they can also probably integrate it with the Amiga software and still use it on through the currency mode. I remember also Lightweight can run in the currency mode. I seen videos on the past from one of the people that was doing selling hardware for Aros some time ago in English. Steve Jones. He was selling a little machine with the GMA, like so they were like, in example, this network, but they were just the box, like a AAA of Asos. Like I remember there were some of these not network, but small machines, and so with the Aros built in. So it might be useful to do some project like maybe kiosk, or maybe, I don't know, I'm thinking what I could do besides Linux if they want something lightweight. Not for running an ATM, of course. And yeah. I'm sorry that things that didn't run too good, that's because yeah, I want to do it, I say.
You can get it to do true multitasking, that'd be good for a 3D printer.
Yeah, and Amiga OS used preempting multitasking, Aros still use the same, so it's working pretty good. And okay, I would like if somebody have any question more that I can answer.
Do you use it every day for your work, or is it fun?
Well, in the past, I tried to use it to try to build some tools and to do some debugging of applications. And I try to test it from everyday use. An example, when I'm in scale, I usually try to use Aros strictly, so that I can. I usually use it to browse. I use it to mostly browse or to show videos and the things. So I use it as a multimedia stand. And I know there are some applications inside, little office application, like in example this, the Cinnamon Writer is an 81. Might not be the most powerful, but it is a minimal. It's being written for S4 and now also for Aros.
Can you give us a web browser demonstration, show us where we can go to download the software?
I could, but the problem is it's not connected to the internet.
Yes. So what is the URL?
I can give it to you.
Okay, I have URLs here. Let me find this. Okay, so Icaros desktop, getitsound.com, don't look at that thing, can be downloaded by there. That's the homepage of Icaros. Aros, got its own homepage, aros.org. You can find 90 builds here for for 68K, you can find for 86, 64-bit. I think the most that I forgot the page, I think that. And then I have my personal blog in the bottom, and there are some links there to Aros and stuff. At least I migrated last year from another host that was in Italy. That was really painful for like but and so it's still a bit work in progress the migration. But I have links here. I have brochure that you can have links.
You want to pass them out?
If you want to pass it from me, it's fine.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Could you use the Aros API to port Amiga programs to say Linux?
I think it's okay. Can you translate? I'm not a coder, that's why.
No, I mean, since part of Aros was to create the Amiga API, right?
No, actually, it's based on the Amiga API. It's like they rewrite Amiga OS 3.
Yeah, they rewrite the Amiga API.
Yeah.
So if there's an Amiga program that uses the Amiga API, you could possibly use this to port it to Linux, right? Instead of...
I know you can run it on hosted.
On what?
Linux hosted. There is a version of Aros that run hosted.
Oh, hosted. But
But
does it,
like a task in Linux.
but is it does it use the same window manager?
No, this is
As a separate window
this
manager?
is some window manager. Wonderers is a rewrite of Workbench that was in Amiga OS. So therefore, it is not using Qt, is not using GNOME or other things. Is it some? There was a the Zoom is born on Linux though. It was a
Right. What,
an implementation
what-
of Magic
what I'm
and
really-
then has been ported to
what
Aros.
I'm really getting at is that if you could use this software for porting Amiga software to a wider audience outside of the Amiga Workbench.
Well, since you have you can have in the developer tools GCC, I think I can also compile for Linux.
Okay.
Then about testing, I think it's better that you work in hosted because right now developing tools, at least natively under Aros, are not as well developed as they should be. More than else, it's lack of manpower.
Okay.
As I said, there are only 5-6 developers, and a lot of people got real life in the middle. It's not like they are not like committing. They don't have like an agenda of conquering the world like maybe the Linux community. So, and they don't have the backup of big companies. As I say, one important thing that is going on right now, and is still on beta, is Aros. That, as I say, is Aros run like a single task in a bare bones strip Linux kernel, with just that is just talking, almost directly with the kernel rather than be hosted in the full stack. So no. There is no window manager like maybe a Qt. I know that is working through frame buffer. The last thing that I heard, they were trying to work towards make it hardware agnostic. So it might be based on like, I'm not sure that it was on LLVM. So rather than having, at least from the Linux kernel, but I'm not too sure. I'm waiting to see what they're doing because it's like 3-4 months that are in this new phase. The core developers are the same are somewhat the same of Aros, so it's like it's not exactly a fork; it's like a side project. And one thing that I like is I would like to see more people that are trying to test Aros or try to develop for it, and because honestly, I think it has potential. It might not be like to the end of like modern operating system, like that are all the features. But for small project or for our basic thing, for return of Amiga or for some, has potential for me. There is also an Android hosted version I forgot to mention. So is it possible to run it on like in a tablet or in a machine like that and run Aros on that?
So I have a question for somebody who didn't ever really deal with Amiga. Why should I be interested in Aros? I'm sorry. I'm trying to say that in a nicer way, but like, what's the interesting thing? Right, like that would draw me to Aros versus.
Okay.
some other operating systems?
Yeah, this is a good question because actually something that I met on, and at least when I started to do advocacy, I thought people should try more Aros. It's cute. Probably they develop, they can go more towards a model system. But now I know that there might be little appeal unless you don't want to try it or you're not interested. Like in example, it was the Amiga way to do things. Like in example, having assigns, having data types to run things. I mean that kind of. The organization of the file system is a typical shell that is less, at least, probably not as powerful as the Linux one, but more, I might say, more human, more friendly towards human. At least you can, yeah, that may be a reason to try it. But I'm honest, since there is lack of software and some of the features are not at the level of modern operating system, I cannot recommend it to substitute a full operating system, at least not now. Probably developing in the future. And that's a good hobby project, got good things. I think the fact that it does at least 2-3 distro and people pretty involved in it, they will like it. Got that feeling like, in example, when I joined in 2007, there was just the nightly. There were no distro. To connect to internet, you had to configure scripts and there was no web browser, very little applications, nothing that you can use, no ports from Amiga, etc. There was even a kind of hostility from the Amiga community itself. Why? Because it was running on x86. Because the Amiga OS was Intel outside. I was one of those when I was younger, but then I realized that at least when the hardware Amiga made this time, it could have been a good idea to have like still continue on x86, at least make it grow. Somebody might use it as personal, but really until there is no decent software, you can really substitute a day-to-day operating system. You can try. But I remember I had problem with, I cannot, of course, do my web development on there. There are some good editors, but then I have no way to inspect the code, and there will be problem with the thing, with the performance. Then once in a while, I don't know, the browser might go AWR and plan me up. I will not call it a guru, but it's essentially a guru, that one that you see, and you lose everything. So I don't know. Yeah. If you want to do a big project, yeah, it's good, but then, yeah, really for a day-to-day, there's still work to do a lot. I like if somebody else jump on board of that, but it's not up to me.
That was very interesting. Thank you very much.
You're welcome to listen to me, especially when I lost a bit my